There is something that drives you. The very thought of it fuels you. Could be sweet yet. Do it with Stanbic Bank. There is something that drives you. The very thought of it fuels you. And even when the road gets rocky, you keep going. Just to get the results that matter. That matter.
Good afternoon, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon. I'm waiting for a response. So, good afternoon. Great to be here. Thank you so much for joining us. This is the unofficial welcome. I noticed a lot of empty seats in front. I know Ghanaians are very modest, but we haven't reserved any seat except the 3 seats next to Prof. Aryeetey. So the rest of the seats are takeable. So if you can kindly and respectfully fill the seats in front of you. This program is being streamed and we would not like to have empty seats in front. A lot of people will come late, so kindly do that for us before we begin. So we're waiting for the VC to join us so we begin officially. But we want to welcome you. We're very happy to have you here. It's good to see all of you, friends, former lecturers, former colleagues, and former students. This program is in honor of Professor Ernest Aryeetey, Emeritus Professor. So once you are here, you are very important to us. the nature of the program means that we cannot introduce all the important people. So if we miss out on you, please forgive us. But we'll do our best to acknowledge all of you as much as we can. We'd like to acknowledge the presence of the Vice Chancellor of the University of Ghana. She just stepped into the building. So, Madam VC, you are welcome. Thank you. Wonderful. Yes, please. So, thank you, Madam VC, and thank you all for being part of this very important symposium in honor of Emeritus Professor Ernest Aryeetey on the theme Placing Research at the Center of Higher Education in Africa. My name is Bernard Avele, a former student of the University of Ghana and also of the University Primary School, and also of Presec Legon, where Prof. Aryeetey did the sixth form. So I have a threefold relevance of being here. I'd like to invite Professor Charles Aka to give us a short opening prayer, after which we would play the university anthem if we have it. If we don't have it, we'll sing it from memory. And I'll put the mic in front of you to see if you remember the words. Prof. Aka, please lead us in a quick opening prayer. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Shall we pray together? Dear Father, we want to thank you for this occasion. This is the day you have made. We are glad and we rejoice. We rejoice with the family, the friends, colleagues of Professor Emeritus Ernest Aryeetey. As we gather here this evening for this symposium in his honor, we beseech you that you grant us the light of your countenance and your peace. It's in you we live and move and have our very being. We ask, O God, that all that we are going to do will go well to the glory and praise of your name. Thank you, our Father, for your in Jesus' name we have prayed. Amen. Amen.
Thank you, Prof. Charles Aka. I'd like us to rise respectfully to sing the university anthem. And I don't know if the lyrics are said. Are you guys ready? All right. Can we rise and sing it? It's not working. Let's go. Okay, let me go to the lyrics. Still University of Ghana. Ready? Sing. No. This is not working. This is not. Who is a music major here to lead us? I need a music something. No, there's something called unison and harmony. All right, yes. I have the words here.
Hail, University of Ghana, the nation's hope and glory, that pays, that bears the star of peace, that bids us all to do our best. Let the great tower of learning inspire both young and old. May we proceed in unity to uphold a public cause. Arise, O Legon, defend the cause of freedom. Proceed in truth and integrity to make our nation proud. Arise, O Legon, defend the cause of freedom. Proceed in truth and integrity to make our nation proud.
Wow. I wanted to be naughty to say, let's sing the second verse. We would have all failed. Let's have a seat. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. It's a great university with a song that reminds us of the importance of scholarship, research, integrity, and progress. I'd like to invite a member of the planning committee, Dr. Prislachumesi Bafo, to bring us some opening remarks. Let's welcome her with a round of applause.
Madam Chairperson, Emeritus Professor Ernest Aryeetey, Director of ISSER, Professor Robert Dakwose, Deans, Directors, Heads of Departments, distinguished invited guests, friends of Emeritus Professor Aryeetey, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. It's an honor to welcome you all on behalf of the Planning Committee to this afternoon's symposium in honor of Emeritus Professor Ernest Aryeetey, an outstanding academic, a great leader, a mentor, and a trailblazer in building institutions. This gathering is not only a celebration of his 70th birthday, but also a moment of deep reflection on the values that have defined Emeritus Professor Aryeetey's life and work. Within discussions, will highlight the intersection between institutional building, higher education, and national development. And in so doing, honor the spirit of service and excellence that is exemplified by Emeritus Professor Aryeetey. Madam Chairperson, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, this symposium is also a call to action. The values that Emeritus Professor Aryeetey represents must continue to guide us. It is my hope that as we listen to the reflections of our distinguished speakers, we will recommit ourselves to building stronger institutions, nurture the next generation of academics, and advance the frontier of knowledge for the betterment of society. On behalf of the Planning Committee, I wish to thank all our partners, especially Stanbic Bank for the financial support, speakers and participants for making time to be here. Your presence is testament to the profound impact of Professor Aryeetey's work and the collective aspiration to build on that legacy. Before I end, permit me to acknowledge members of the Planning Committee, which consists of Dr. Nanama Asantipoku, Mrs. Mawena Akuamwa-Boateng, Dr. Emmanuel Abe, Dr. Emmanuel Edudanso, and Ms. Vicentia Korte. Thank you all for your tireless effort in pulling everything together. Once again, you are warmly welcome. We look forward to an evening filled with inspiration, deep reflection, and meaningful networking. Thank you once again.
Thank you very much, Dr. Prislachumesi Bafo, for making it so short and sweet. We'd like to now bring up Professor Robert Dakwose, who's the director at ISSER, to bring us a few remarks, being partners in this very important program. Let's welcome Professor Osei. Thank you.
Madam Vice Chancellor, the registrar is not here as yet. Emeritus Professor Ernest Aryeetey, former Vice Chancellors, distinguished guests, colleagues, students, and members of the media, good evening. Oh, Madam Registrar is here. So, Madam Registrar, good evening. No, okay, so I'll start again. Unless the response to the good evening is good, I won't continue. So, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of ISSER, it's a great honor to welcome you all to this special symposium, which is in honor of one of our most distinguished scholars, Emeritus Professor Ernest Aryeetey. We are gathered not only to celebrate a life of scholarship and service of a senior colleague, a friend, and a mentor to many academics and development practitioners, but to reflect on a team that lies at the very heart of his intellectual and professional legacy, placing research at the center of higher education in Africa. So today's event is not a mere ceremonial tribute. It's rather a deliberate act which is aimed at encouraging all of us, both as mentors and mentees at ISSER and beyond ISSER, to continue in this spirit of selfless dedication. In this way, we honor Emeritus Professor Ernest Aryeetey as he turns 70, not only with our words and gifts. The words should come, the gifts should also come. But in addition to that, to show our commitment to the ideals that he has championed throughout his career. Chief among them, the belief that rigorous, relevant, and cutting-edge research has the power to change Africa's trajectory. Throughout his distinguished career, Emeritus Professor Ernest Aryeetey has reminded us that research is not an academic luxury. It is a necessity that requires hard work and dedication. He has showed us that research must not sit on shelves. It must inform policy, it must shape institutions, and it must empower communities and, of course, the people that live in these communities. This is why today's theme is so fitting. It both celebrates a colossus and also calls us to action. Across the continent, higher education is expanding. Yet, I can say research remains underfunded. And indeed, for most times, it is undervalued. And somehow, it is very much disconnected with the pressing needs of our societies. One cannot help but feel that society's appreciation of higher education's contribution to development efforts leaves much to be desired. To put it charitably, we have not put our money where our mouth is on this matter. If Africa is to build universities that are truly transformative, research must stand at their core, not as an afterthought, but as a fundamental pillar of our academic enterprise. At ISSER, we are very proud to carry forward the legacy of Emeritus Professor Ernest Aryeetey. His influence remains embedded in our research culture, our training, and our engagement with policy. This means we will continue investing in younger scholars, strengthening research infrastructure, and deepening both that Africa's future depends on the knowledge that we invest and generate today. After all, the ISSER motto is knowledge for development. So this symposium is a space, as Priscilla said, for reflection and renewal, our real legacy of the man we celebrate today. So as I conclude, I would like to thank each and every one of you for making time to join us to celebrate Emeritus Professor Ernest Aryeetey as he turns 70 in a few days' time. In particular, I would like to thank Emeritus Professor Ernest Aryeetey himself for showing us, through a life of exemplary scholarship and service, what it means to believe in the power of research to transform a continent. Once again, welcome to this symposium. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Robert Osei. And we're moving straight to introduce our chairperson. And I told you I had 3 connections to this program. I went to University Primary School, that's the first one. And it's funny because I was in the same class with James, who happens to be Prof's son. And sometimes I ask myself what I did wrong in life because, James went to Motown, I went to Presec, and he was the head prefect for the 98-year group. James, give me a shout. He's somewhere at the back, he's hiding. So we're in the same class, together with Dr. Nanama Afarijan, who's now the next person. She also, in our econs class in Legon, was one of the 2 best graduating students, together with Patrick Esuming. So I asked myself, what did I do wrong? Why am I here? People are excelling. I think it's something I did in UPS. It's like, and we're in this, and I wasn't respecting them at all. And here I am, every day I come and call Nanama's name, Patrick Esuming's name. So we'll see how it goes. So Dr. Nanama Asante Poku is with ISSER. We're so proud of what she's doing. She's here to introduce the VC. Put your hands together for Nanama.
So I'm here to introduce our chairperson. I know she needs no introduction, but we have to do this. So our chairperson is the first female vice-chancellor of the University of Ghana. She is a professor of linguistics, an experienced administrator with over 2 decades experience working in the higher education sector. As vice-chancellor, she is leading the university to adopt technology in all its operations, while keeping the university's people as the focus. She has received numerous awards for her work in education, female empowerment, and leadership. She is a member of many prestigious societies and organizations. Among others, she is a fellow of the Ghana Academy of Arts and Sciences, the German Academic Exchange Services, Alexander van Humboldt Foundation, Commonwealth Professionals Fellowship, and the International Women's Fellowship Leadership Foundation. She's also the president of the African Humanities Association and the International Federation of Modern Languages and Literature. She is the vice chair of the African Research Universities Alliance and an administrative board member of the International Association of Universities. With a round of applause, please let's welcome Professor Nanaba Apia Amfu to the podium. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nanama. Our distinguished celebrant, Emeritus Professor Ernest Aryeetey, the Secretary General of the African Research Universities Alliance, Professor John Japon, our distinguished speakers, including Professor Elizabeth Asiedu, Professor Victor Murunde, Professor Peter Korte, former director of ISSER, the director of ISSER who has welcomed us already, Professor Robert Dako Osei, esteemed colleagues, specially invited guests, Mr. MC, normally we are leaving you out, but let me recognize you. Ladies and gentlemen, you're doing everything right. Let me see. It is a great honor and privilege to welcome you all to this symposium in honor of Emeritus Professor Ernest Aryeetey. And I would like to thank the organizing committee for inviting me to be a part of this. Today has been a very packed day. This is my 5th event for the day. 2 have been off campus, but there was no way I could say no to this. On behalf of the University of Ghana, I thank you for joining us to celebrate a scholar par excellence, leader and institutional builder whose career has left an indelible mark on higher education in Africa. The team could not have chosen a better theme, placing research at the center of higher education in Africa, as it captures both the essence of Professor Aryeetey's work, life, and challenges universities face on this continent. His career exemplifies how rigor here in Ghana, where he studied economics with statistics at this very university, before he detoured for postgraduate studies at the University of Science and Technology. I don't know how that one came in, but somehow we don't remember that. It's all right. He later pursued his doctoral studies in Germany. From those early beginnings, his intellectual curiosity was marked by a deep sense of responsibility to use scholarship as a tool not only to advance knowledge, but to shape policy, institutions, and ultimately society. As a researcher, his work on financial systems, informal finance, and economic development has informed both academic debates and policy decisions across Africa. His scholarship demonstrates the power of research to bridge the gap between theory and practice, reminding us that universities exist to advance humanity. Emeritus Professor Aryeetey has always been one more than an outstanding scholar. He has been an architect of institutions. Here at ISSER, he strengthened the Institute's capacity for policy-relevant research. As Vice-Chancellor of this university from 2010 to 2016, he spearheaded the transformation of this university into a research-intensive one. He improved the operational systems and structures, championed graduate education, and created an environment for innovation to thrive. His leadership embodied the conviction that research is not a peripheral activity. It is central to who we are as a university. His vision also extended beyond our borders, recognizing the need for African universities to work collaboratively. He was one of those who convened colleagues from across the continent to establish the African Research Universities Alliance, ARUA, in 2015. And as its founding Secretary General, he nurtured the alliance from an idea into a vibrant network of leading research universities. Today, ARUA is a testament to his foresight, providing platforms for collaboration, capacity building, and collective action on Africa's research agenda. Professor Aryeetey has also been a global citizen. He brought Africa's voice into international research and policy circles through his leadership roles with United Nations University, World Institute for Development Economics Research, UNU, WIDER, and the African Economic Research Consortium, among others. In each of these spaces, he reminded the world that African scholarship matters and that African universities must be partners, not mere recipients in the global knowledge enterprise. Aside the aforementioned accolades, one of Emeritus Professor Aryeetey's most enduring legacies is found in the people he has mentored and inspired. Generations of economists, researchers, and academic leaders trace their professional growth to his partnership, encouragement, guidance, and example. And indeed, I'm an example of one such. My only disappointment is that he never told me that in being a vice-chancellor, sometimes you have to join national security to chase land guards. In celebrating him today, we are also celebrating the many who continue to carry forward his vision. His remarkable achievements have been recognized worldwide through fellowships, honorary doctorates, and awards. Yet, I believe the greatest recognition is what we see around us today. a community of scholars, institutions, and networks that continue to thrive because of his vision and contribution. This evening's program reflects the richness of his career. Our panel of speakers will highlight his contributions to institution building, engaging the African diaspora, shaping economic policy, and mentoring the next generation. We will also hear tributes from colleagues and partners whose lives and institutions have been touched by his work. As Vice Chancellor and a linguist, I am mindful of the power of words, but Emeritus Professor Aryeetey's life reminds us that words alone are not enough. It is through research, through institutions, and through people that our words become action and our aspirations take form. His works challenge us as universities in Africa to place research at the very center of our mission, so that higher education may truly serve as a driver of transformation. It is my hope that this symposium and Emeritus Professor Aryeetey's professional journey will continue to inspire many for years to come. May it encourage today's scholars to pursue excellence and to mentor the next generation of impactful academics for the development of Africa and the world. And so on this note, I accept to chair the symposium. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Madam VC. Please put your hands together for the VC. Wow. You know, I got here just at 4:30, and when Professor Roberto asked me why I was late, I was boasting that this is my third program today, and I have another program in the evening, thinking I was such a busy person, and this is your fifth. You know, so monkeys play by sizes. This is serious indeed. Now, so thank you so much, and also I think you are the first linguist to be VC. Is that correct? That's wonderful. I interviewed a man last month who said we need a new Ghanaian language, which should be an amalgamation of all our languages. So when you retire from VC, we'll give you that project. Evega Dagbani Tree into one language. So good luck with that. Now, because of the measure of the man we're celebrating, we're going to be hearing from different people. We have two things we're doing. We're going to have we won't call it a panel discussion, reflections. And we've selected people, some of who are here, some of who are in Cape Town, some are in Washington, D.C., some are in Nairobi, all over the world. Some would speak to us physically here. Some have sent in their reflections by video recording. Some are joining us by video link. We've mixed it up to make it interesting. When we're done with that segment, we're going to have 4 of his proteges, people who have sort of, because this group are people who've worked with him more closely. The second batch are more those who looked up to him far up there to also share their lessons and reflections before we hear from the celebrant himself. So I'd like to start with a man who himself used to be a VC. So I think it's the VC's time. And he is now the Secretary General of the African Research Universities Alliance. And he went to the school Prof attended. You know, when you go to Form 1 to 5 in a school, so Prof is an alumnus of Motown, but he went to Presec for 2 years. Do you understand? So if you do 1 to 5, you're an Akora. He's not an Odadie, but he just went to Presec for 2 years. So Prof Japan, he is a Presecer. So that's the way it's. Do you understand what I'm saying? If you go to Form 1 to 5 in Accra, you are an academician. If you did 6th form at Motown, that doesn't make you a Motowner. Do you understand? So Prof Aryeetey is an Akora who went to Presec. Please, is this making sense? And myself and Professor Japan, we are Presecans. We are Odadies. So, he's a what? Oh my God. Based on my formula. So based on that formula, you're an old who went to Presec. I've lost this fight. The man will speak for himself. Ladies and gentlemen, to share some reflections on research, its impact, and African higher education, looking at the contributions of Professor Aryeetey Emeritus, let's welcome respectfully Professor John Japan.
Now you know. So I will want to rely on the existing protocols that were established by the Vice Chancellor so eloquently, a very tall list recognizing everybody. And one act on just a portion of the journey, which is institutional building. So if the IT team can, or do I have to start from here? I expect it to be shown before I advance. I need to change the screen. I don't know. It's loading, okay, yeah. I just wanted to say that Professor Aryeetey came to the University of Science and Technology to hone in on his skills so as to be able to make all the progress that he made. And it is a very important aspect of his CV. So, Madam VC, yes. My 15 minutes hasn't started. Thank you. So I want to reflect on Professor Ernest Aryeetey's contribution to higher education as an institutional builder. How does the screen change here? No, I have the. Oh, I see. Okay, all right. So then, institution builders have many characteristics, and amongst them, strong belief in institutional purpose. They put the institution first always. They have shared responsibility for success, and their ability to identify talent and grow them has been suggested already. They usually face significant opposition in the implementation of their work if they actually do it well. And at the end of the day, they are recognized by their peers. So, I don't like this. Next slide. Yeah. So, Professor Aryeetey has been involved in many institutions, from ISSER to the Brookings Institute, then became Vice Chancellor of Legon, then the founding Secretary General of ARUA. He's been involved in many other activities, actively, especially in the Old Achimotans Association and in many boardrooms. But the portion that I would want to focus on are the University of Ghana and the ARUA bit, because that is where I really got engaged. Next slide. I can use it now. Thank you. Great. Right. So today I want to be very spiritual. 1 John 1 says, that which from the beginning, which we have heard, which we have seen with our own eyes, and which we have looked upon. I've always wondered the difference between seeing and looking upon. And our hands have handled of the word of life. This is the Apostle John speaking. And the non-Apostle John is saying, that which from the year 2009, when I met Ernest Aryeetey, which I have heard, and which I have seen with my own eyes, and which I have looked upon, and my hands have touched of Ernest Aryeetey. That is what I declare to you today. As an institution builder, I'm sure there is somebody who is going to talk about all the things that he did at ISSER. So this is just for the record to make it complete. But I will not get into the details of it. Otherwise, my friend sitting there will have nothing to say. So I'll leave the ISSER bit for somebody else to come and talk about. And then at the Brookings Institute, he spent a very short period of time there where he was the director of the African Growth Initiative for the period between his becoming VC and leaving ISSER. And his influence there is also very, very much well recognized. Institution builders always leave a mark wherever they go. But my focus would be on his stewardship here at the University of Ghana, where he was VC for a period of 6 years. And of those 6 years, I worked with him for 5 years as the Pro-Vice Chancellor for Research, Innovation, and Development. Indeed, I joined the team in 2011. So he was around for a year, and then I joined him in 2011 till 2016 when we both left the scene. So I'm telling you what I saw in those 5 years. His strategic plan and the way he goes about things is so impactful. He has a way of getting you on board and be part of the process. His reforms in academic governance, the collegiate system, a bit of resistance here and there, as you expect in an academic institution. But he had a way of going about it, bringing external people to come and speak to the issues, bringing us all to various fora in Koforidua, in Ebri, and we went to 3 different places to build consensus on the collegiate system. Carrying people along is always something that is very, very, very critical. His focus on research is unparalleled as far as I'm concerned. Of course, many of you would remember the work of the visitation panel and the recommendations of the visitation panel for UG to hone in on its research skills, which was begun by Professor Cliff Tego, and then after him, Ernest Aryeetey took over and made it even much better through the work of the Research, Innovation, and Development outfit. His promotion of equity and diversity through postgraduate training is also very well documented. And making sure that University of Ghana became a global institution through various partnerships. These are the highlights that I want to talk about. But I thought that I will go through memory lane and help you recap some of the things that came up that, in my opinion, are very, very interesting. I remember very well in the congregation speech in 2015, in July. I remember it very well because that day I read the afternoon speech. You know, when he does the morning, then he'll give either me or Kweku or Sam the opportunity to read the afternoon congregation speech. It's the same thing, but I remember it very well. This is how Daily Graphic captured the report. The Professor Aryeetey announced that the 4 million CDs had been allocated for 4 centers of excellence as seed money to undertake research in climate change adaptation and blah, 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 blah. You remember all those things. Then he talked about investing $5 million to refurbish our laboratories and replace obsolete equipment. That was the first time we bought an NMR in this university. And that retooling of our infrastructure was a game changer. And of course, the faculty development grants that went to support conferences and many other activities. These were the things that became the game changer. You remember this report of rotten computer science department. One of your friends came and took some photos. Yeah. But, these things, we didn't push back. We had opportunity to retool and refurbish our computer centers through the China Phase 2 initiative projects that we had. And by the time we were leaving office, everything was basically retooled and refreshed. There are things that I want to bring up which may not be very popular. He decided that the purchase should leave, and the students didn't like it. And it became one of the issues which gained a lot of currency. If social media were very active those days, they would have been saying that it was trending, But because social media was not very active, it didn't trend so much, unless Bernard Avila and his team decide to carry it along. The roads. By the time we were leaving office, University of Ghana had the best roads on any of our campuses. It's a very big infrastructural investment which sometimes you underestimate. Thank God now Kia University has done same, and UCC has also done same, and UHAS is still waiting to start. So we had an opportunity. We had to go and see the roads minister. Bevlolate was doing his things, if you remember. Is he still in power? We were sued, or he was sued. The suit was in the name of the University of Ghana, but his name was everywhere. Luckily, my name was nowhere to be found in any of those documents. He was sued all over the place, and there was so much talk about this work. But of course, as I can say, if you are the first person to go to court, it doesn't make you right. So the Supreme Court dismissed all those petitions that were put out there. This is just to let you know that leadership involves challenges, and you need bold people who will lead to make such decisions. Another one which is also very well known, I thought I should remind you again, Africa Integras. I remember this day very well. Almost all the surviving vice chancellors were present at that ceremony. I remember very well when Professor Bennett was wheeled in a wheelchair into the Great Hall for this signing ceremony. But after a while, it became a very bad deal. Sometimes you need to reflect and let people know what the real story is, especially when it is being carried away in a way that can be very defamatory and affect your whole demeanor. Sometimes when I saw him during those periods, I asked myself, is this my friend? He looked very, very down. Nobody wants to be in court for doing good things over such a long period. But anyway, it is over. So one of the major things that was also done during that period of time was UGMC. And this was his own words. The construction of UGMC was one of my proudest moments as VC. I recall the discussions that we had with Professor Mills to invest in UGMC and that whole initiative which came into fruition. Again, that became something else. But it is sitting there. At the time he was leaving office, upon his own reflections, he thought that we needed some major reforms in the education sector. If you want to read what those reforms are, go check this publication in July 2016, 24th July 2016. It's on Ghana Web. It will tell you all the things that he enumerated which he thought we needed to do differently. Now comes Arua. He leaves Legon. He becomes the foundation Secretary General of Arua, building an institution from scratch. In Legon, he came to continue what someone else or many other people had started. But here, it was from scratch, forming the whole concept of Arua. Yes, there were 15 vice chancellors who were around the table in 2015 at UCAD in Sheikh Anta Diop in Senegal. However, when that decision was made, somebody needed to carry the vision forward. And it was Ernest Aryeetey who created Arua to become what it is today, where we have 13 centers of excellence, we have 22 clusters of research excellence with the Guild of European Universities who are doing excellent work, where he's helped to secure support to train the next generation of people through attachments to all these research centers of excellence. One thing that we had really hoped would have come through was training of 1,000 PhDs a year. Unfortunately, it hit a snag, but we are still working on it, and we'll see how it will go in the next couple of months. But one of the key things that he has always encouraged the leadership of the Arua institutions is decentralization of authority. And I think this is something which we all must cherish. So this is about the classes of research excellence. I mean, it's a report that is cited by Universities World News, where 23 research universities in Europe are partnering with 23 research universities in Africa to do research, collaborative research that respects everybody. At the end of his tenure, everybody said all the good things that you would normally say. But I want to quote what Professor Sizwe Mabizela, the chair of Arua board, said. He said, "Your profound sense of purpose, clear vision, and strategic foresight have shaped what Arua has become." Very, very insightful. Professor Ernest Aryeetey's leadership for Arua is unparalleled. And actually, I'm the second one. So, and I remember at this ceremony, everybody was telling me how big the shoes I was going to fill were like. And I looked at his feet and I recognized that my shoe size is 42. I believe from what I saw, his must be about 45 or thereabouts. So I accept that it is very big shoes to fill. Ghana came along and eventually recognized that he was doing something great in Arua, because initially Ghana was not very much on the team. But it is good. It is when you join too late, it's fine. And so Arua now has 3 Ghanaian institutions: University of Ghana, KNUST, and University of Cape Coast. But beyond this, he's done many other things, many of which are reflected through boardrooms. His work in boardrooms is so, I've been told that my time is almost up. You don't ask me to come and do this for 15 minutes. But these are the boardrooms he's influenced. Some of them, many of them still out there, and his impact is still well recognized all over the place. He used OAA as a platform to talk about senior high school a lot. Of course, his baby was OAA, but through that, he talked about the need for school authorities to be put in charge, the need for government to provide autonomy for senior high schools, and to even up till now, he's talking about how we need to focus, target our resources towards the very needy people instead of spreading the little money that we have thin. So he also engaged in many of the economic debates and in helping to shape the country as a whole, because when you are in such leadership positions, you end up influencing national issues. And his influence in the economic environment, I believe, is also unparalleled. And I hope that our friends will begin to talk about that. This is something that I need to talk about. Many of you remember many years ago when the statue of Gandhi was placed at the quadrangle. Well, long story short, eventually it was removed. And he was interviewed by the University News, the University World News. And what he said to me was very profound. He said he saw Gandhi as a Saul who had become a Paul. So yes, Gandhi was very racist in his very early beginnings, but beyond that, at the end of the day, he changed and he was a completely different person. So for him, honoring Gandhi was not because of his early beginnings, but for his later days. Whether you believe that or not, he had a reason to accept the statue of Gandhi on campus. My last scripture. Yes, those who live godly lives shall, not will, shall suffer persecution. So I'm still not sure why he keeps complaining that there are still people going on with schemes to discredit his legacy. So if you do good work, you shall suffer persecution. So don't worry about anything that is on the side. Ending my statement, I said that was my last statement, but I said, goodness and mercies shall follow you. So the goodness and mercies, the good work that was begun has followed in all these rankings that we are seeing today. So this is the institutional goodness. But the personal goodness, 7 honorary doctoral degrees. 7. From success to University of Lund in Sweden, to Stellenbosch, to Legon, then UHAS. I wasn't there, just for the records. Then Glasgow, and then recently Wits in South Africa. He was interviewed again and he said he had 10 top principles. Because of time, I won't go into them. But here they are. Go read about them and it will tell you why he has been so successful. When we were ending our tenure, that was during the run-up to the 2016 elections, and there was a lot of rumor in the mail. And he gave an answer. He said, I have no political ambitions at the moment. A very political statement. So this was in 2016. I don't know whether it has changed or not, but I thought I should bring it up as far as institutional building is concerned. And that will be my last statement. Except to say that Emeritus Professor Ernest Aryeetey embodies a visionary leader in Africa, higher education and research. His unwavering commitment to institutional building, talent development, and strategic partnership has transformed multiple institutions and enriched African scholarship. Let us honor his remarkable contributions by continuing to build on his legacy and making sure that we also become impactful. And because of that, I ask, who is following you? Because you see, institutional builders have followers. You should look back and find out whether there is anybody following you. I thank you for your attention.
Wow. I think we can call you Reverend Professor John Japon. A round of applause for him. Wow. Really nice. This is really good. And I was very heartened to say that you told the story through a media lens. And that made me very proud. That the media in Ghana and across the world captured a lot of your slides. So we're also doing a very good job. You see? Oh, you won't clap for the media. Yeah. We're moving to Nairobi next because we have joining us virtually Professor Victor Murinde, who is the Executive Director of the AERC. If he's on, technical team, is his mic on? So, Professor Murinde, if you can hear us, this is a room full of happy people. We want to hear your reflections on research and economic policy making in Africa as we celebrate Emeritus Professor Aryeetey. If you can hear me, say hello. He's on?
Hello.
Hi, you have the floor. Go ahead.
and financial
Wow, 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 wow. Wow. If you can still hear us, the applause were very loud. We enjoyed it thoroughly. Thank you very much, Professor Victor Murinde. Let's put our hands together one more time for him. This is still a symposium in honor of Emeritus Professor Ernest Aryeetey on the theme Placing Research at the Center of Higher Education in Africa. We've had 2 reflections already. We're trying to mix it up so it doesn't get boring. So I'm going to try and play a quick video from Washington to see how that also sits before we bring up Professor Quartey. This is on the African diaspora and economic research of that. So
contributions have significantly reshaped economic research in Africa. Good evening, distinguished guests, colleagues, and friends. My name is Elizabeth Asiedu. I am a professor at Howard University in Washington, D.C. With the Economic Conference. But when I first received the invitation for this event, I misread it. For a moment, I thought it was a retirement simply drop. That mantra myself. To Professor Edu, I am honored to join you in celebrating Professor Ernest. Aryeetey. Now, I must confess that when I first received the invitation for this event, I misread it. For a moment, I thought it was a retirement symposium for Ernest. And he had finally decided to hang up his hat, lean back, and put his feet up. My immediate reaction was, of course, disbelief. After all, Ernest has always struck me as one of those academics who plan to work until they drop. And since Ernest has both been my mentor and role model, I had adopted that mantra myself. To work. Ernest is and sure enough, he was right. This was not a retirement event at all. So you see, this gathering created a slight problem for me. My friends, is simply unimaginable. So on a more serious note, my task today is to reflect on Ernest's contributions to the African diaspora and economic research in stages of my life. To give some context, I have known Ernest for nearly 38 years, though he has known me for around ISSER. As you know, the math department is looking. My memory serves me correctly, drove a blue Datsun as I walked from Mesa Saba Hall to my lectures. Ernest is not going to reveal the reasons behind these visits, but as you can see, time and years had lagged. Years later, after I moved to the US for grad school and began my academic career, our paths crossed again in 2001 at a UNU wider conference in Helsinki. Ernest was then a board member of WIDER, and he was also a keynote speaker at the conference. While I was an assistant professor, it was not a debate about the underrepresentation of women in the field of economics. We also discussed how African economists, both domestically and internationally, can shared the reason why he returned to Ghana after studying in Germany. He told me his daily walk to school took him past a cemetery. One day it dawned on him, it would be pretty lonely. Now, I'm not entirely sure which economic theory explains the idea that the dead have feelings, but I can tell you it gave him one of one's own community. He taught me 2 things about him. He never criticized diaspora economists for leaving. Instead, he focused on how we might still collaborate to build something meaningful. Second, I saw firsthand his humility, his willingness to listen, to challenge ideas without ego, and to create space for voices still finding their footing, just like me. Since then, Ernest has been a steady supporter. He is often among the first to celebrate my milestones, both personal and professional. Beyond me, he has been a champion of women economists more broadly, encouraging their work, amplifying their voices, and showing us that inclusion is not optional, but essential for strong leadership. My collaboration with Ernest deepened when he spent a year at the Brook of the African Fund, never content with easy answers, always pushing and encouraging us to think bigger, bolder, and look beyond our personal achievements. As Vice Chancellor of the University of Ghana, Ernest put this philosophy into practice. He dedicated himself to making the university more research-focused and globally connected, while still maintaining its ties to Ghana and Africa. As Secretary of ARUA, his vision grew further. He established a continental collaboration platform, encouraging African universities to speak with unified voice, compete on the world stage, and more importantly, set their own research priorities. Today, through initiatives like the African Economic Association, Ernest continues to build platforms that connect African scholars both locally and in their diaspora for future generations. Ladies and gentlemen, today we honor not just Professor Aryeetey's remarkable achievements, but also the vision he has inspired. Periphery. Ernest has shown us that research is not an abstract exercise. It's about people, institutions, and futures. It's about ensuring that Africa's story is written. So let us honor Professor Ernest Aryeetey not just for what he has done, but for what he continues to inspire in us, a commitment to bring stronger bridges between Africa and its diaspora, between knowledge and policy, and between vision and reality. And if one day Ernest does decide to retire, though I have my doubts, he has built will be strong enough to carry us all forward. Thank you.
Really, really profound indeed. I'd like to now bring for reflections on legacy, mentorship, and capacity building, the immediate past director of ISSER, Professor Peter Korte. You've had a very long day today, so make it short. Two of us have had a long day today, yes. So let's welcome him to a round of applause for some quick reflections. Thank you, Prof.
Thank you very much. Good evening, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Let me stand on the existing protocol as ably established by previous speakers. I've been asked to speak on mentorship, capacity building, and legacy. Some of the things I want to say have been ably presented already, so I would skip some as necessary. When I was asked to do this, I asked the chairperson, it's like you are asking an ant to sew a suit for a giant. It was quite difficult for me. I didn't know where to start and how to end because it was a lot of things to put together, but and do that within 15 minutes. But I tried to put some together. Placing research at the center of higher education requires mentorship indeed, requires capacity building to leave a lasting legacy. Legacy requires impact. And it relates very much with the 5 generations principle, following from the protocol established by Professor Japon. I also want to give you scripture Psalm 112, verses 1 to 2. The last part about how your generations will be blessed if you leave a lasting legacy. And actually, this has been tested by this Princeton scholar. He took two people, Jonathan Edwards and Mark Juice. Edward was like a mentor, like Professor Aryeetey and Emeritus Professor Aryeetey. He mentored people, he looked after his family, and they all became very, very renowned people. Then Mark Juice was told was a drunkard. He doesn't come home often sometimes, he leaves his family, and all the bad things were found in his descendants. So, Emeritus Professor Aryeetey, the legacy you have left, you have left behind, or you're leaving behind, would carry on to the next 5 generations and beyond. You have indeed touched lives. For every life you have touched, professional, everything you have done is going to be passed on. And I believe it will go beyond the 5 generations. Legacy, when you leave behind, is very important because it preserves the core values of our life journey. What he has done for us in terms of knowledge, development, teaching, skills, learning, support, adaptation, and so many things. And these are all interlinked. When you provide mentorship, you build capacity, you leave a legacy, they are all interlinked. It's like a vicious cycle. They all affect each other. Indeed, on reflections, I can say he's a great mentor. And what do you find in a great mentor? Admirable characteristics. When, for those of us who are privileged to have traveled with him, when we go for conferences, and when he's moving, you can see as if he's moving with a force. People follow him. Renowned economists, I sit back and look at him and say, one day will people follow me like they follow him? Everywhere he goes, like MTN. You see people following him. It's amazing, and we admire such quality. I have traveled with him a couple of times, and it's been a great journey, a great learning experience under his feet. He's an admirable character, indeed. Professionally, everything. He likes to party. That's one thing for sure. Even when it's not his birthday, he will pick somebody and organize a birthday for him. He loves people. He loves people. My wife always keeps saying, society loves people. He's leaving a legacy, indeed. Lasting impact. He prioritized mentorship. And I will share a few of the things he had done. He recruited young faculty. I was one of the privileged ones. My first encounter with him wasn't too, I won't say pleasant, I wasn't too happy when I left his office. Because I was then writing my MPhil thesis, and anybody I spoke to said, go and see Professor Aryeetey. Have you heard about him? Go and see him. So I went with some confidence that all my problems were going to be solved. When I went, he asked me questions, one question after the other. In fact, it was all questions and answers till I left his office. But later when I reflected, when I got back and I was writing the thesis, I understood why he was asking me issues about the data I was going to use. And really, it made sense to me. So that was when we encountered. Then, again, when I was a PhD student, he was in Manchester for a conference. So we linked up. And I went to pick him and brought him home in an old Banger. I was then driving a VW Jetta. Today, when I look back and see that old Banger that he humbly sat in it, I feel ashamed. But that's the kind of man we are talking about. He was so humble. I drove him home, then we went back. Then I came for data collection. I was then a visiting scholar. when he was the deputy director. I went back when I completed. He was expecting me because we discussed this. But somebody in this room came to convince me that IEA was going to pay us $1,500. So, being a rational thinker and a rational economist, if I was going to get $400 at Legon and $1,500, which one will you choose? So I followed him, but I realized all that glitters is not gold. He left, I left. And in 2003, I was doing part-time at ISSER. Then 2004, I became full-time. Then that same person who convinced me in 2005 joined ISSER. I won't mention his name because he's now my director, so I have to be careful. Then, so, you see, when we became like ambassadors. We were then winning souls for ISSER. So Chasaka also followed and came in 2007, and many others followed. But one unique thing Professor Aryeetey did, Emeritus Professor Aryeetey did, was the principal research assistant concept. He wanted young people to groom, to take over. So the likes of Prof. Fedi, Aryeetey, yes, the head of economics division, and Professor Fred Janku, Cynthia Dokuetego, Asantua. Asantua was the first one I met. She was my friend, so we're going for lunch, you know. And many of them were recruited, but he had a plan. He will give you a 3-year contract, and he will renew just for a year, because he wanted them to go for their PhDs. He didn't want them to feel very comfortable, and that helped. Today, we see many of them in very high places. Then at AERC, I think Victor spoke at length, the thematic research. He was the Group C chair. Group C looked at finance, SMEs, and he was the chairperson where they groomed young people. You know, submit a proposal, you go and defend, sometimes go and come with revised proposal. You can spend like 6 years going back and forth with one project. But he did something profound for me. He asked me to write a proposal. Then he took the hard copy to AERC to ensure that it was reviewed so I could be invited to present. And through that, I was able to do 2 papers and also 2 collaborative research at AERC through his mentorship. We know he served on the AERC board and did many things. I won't go through it because Victor has spoken at length about that. But also at Brookings, the first director of AGI, then later became a non-resident director. He brought research funding to the extent that ISSER got funding to undertake research. The idea was to promote African voice. So to the extent that at Brookings, I was invited as a visiting scholar, and for the very first time, I was at the US Congress, the House Committee on Foreign Affairs, to make a presentation. We were trained on how to speak. Before you go there, you have to write whatever you're going to say. You are given 5 minutes. Then you say it, and within 5 minutes, if you don't speak well, they stop you. You know, we were trained. I thought I had arrived, but I was being trained on how to communicate. And when we got there, truly, when it's 5 minutes, the microphone shuts off. You can't continue speaking. So all this helped us to become what we are today through his able leadership. At the University of Ghana, I think Prof. Japon has spoken at length about that he was a bold and took very difficult decisions. He was a very bold person. Those days I was living on campus, so Linkgate. Before you could drive from campus to Linkgate, it could take you like 1 hour because there was heavy traffic. You could not drive from here to Roguchi. I mean, we were struggling on campus, tipper trucks everywhere. So he brought in the toll booth, the toll idea, and he was fought vehemently, but he stood his grounds. And today, we are seeing what we, Not many leaders will do that, but I know him to be a very bold person, and I have learned to be bold and speak up when you have to speak up. The collegiate system, he formed committees of which I served on some. We were trying to get the collegiate system going, and today we have 4 colleges, capacity building. He introduced a 4-year PhD program. It used to be 3 years, but now, first year, you do coursework. People fought against it, but he managed to get it through, and today, we are carrying through this. Issues about gender parity, I could go on and on about even infrastructure. The residences of faculty, some were very old, some of the roofs were leaking, and he managed to re-roof most of them, or all of them, through his effort. Later he will tell you how he did it, but he's such a great visionary leader. Then at Arua, he did so much there. If I could read from the former board chair of Sizwe, he says, Emeritus Professor Aryeetey remains an embodiment of humility, integrity, and selfless service, representing the best and finest on the continent. When I read this, I said, yes, the man knew what he was talking about. So it tells you the person we are celebrating today. At Arua, he mentored, there are 2 Emmanuels here, Emmanuel Abe and Edu Danso. I hear they move together. If you employ one, you have to employ the other person. So he managed to employ the 2 of them, and they are here today with us. So in conclusion, Emeritus Professor Aryeetey has been a mentor. He's built capacity of many young and old persons, not just in Ghana, but across the globe. They are all over. His mentees are all over the globe. He has left a lasting legacy. There's nowhere I travel to when they will ask you, do you know Professor Aryeetey? Where is he? Everywhere I go, every conference I attend, at least one person would ask about him. It tells you how far his name has reached. He has left a legacy for all of us to learn from and also carry the mantle to generations yet unborn. We celebrate your achievement, Emeritus Professor Aryeetey. We congratulate all those who solidly supported you, especially Professor Mrs. Elembote Doku-Aryeetey. Madam, if you are here, we salute you. And the entire family, we salute you. I urge you to publish this rich experience and legacy for future generations to tap into. We need this. A hearty congratulations, Emeritus Professor Aryeetey. Thank you.
Thank you. Wow. This is getting really, really interesting. So that was Professor Peter Korte, immediate past director of ISSER. Let's applaud him one more time. Yeah. We're still celebrating Emeritus Professor Ernest Aryeetey on the theme Placing Research at the Center of Higher Education in Africa, a symposium in honor of this great leader and scholar. We have 2 final reflections in this part. One is coming to us from Cape Town, and the speaker will be reflecting on research in poverty and inequality for policy and African higher learning. Professor Murray Liebrandt is the director of ISSER, I believe it's called, University of Cape Town. He's joining us virtually from South Africa. Let's put hands together for him. he can't even say no because he doesn't have the mic. So it's good to put this to him, and then he's forced to accept. So that was Professor Murray Librand. Let's put hands together for him one more time. And it's interesting you were speaking about poverty and sustained growth, because the next speaker is from the Northwestern University, and I'm sure you've been following the news. The 3 Nobel Prize winners in economics announced recently. One teaches there, Northwestern as we speak, and one got his PhD from Northwestern. It's a highly prestigious university. And interestingly, their Nobel Prize was on economic growth. One developed a mathematical model, the other was on sustained economic growth. So it's an area we are very interested in. So I'm going to bring finally to speak to us from Illinois, Professor Chris Udry, who also happens to be based at the Northwestern University in Illinois. He's going to reflect on linking research quality to policy impact in African economic development, the role of higher education institutions in Africa. He's our final speaker in this round. So let's put our hands together for Professor Udry. And Prof, if you can hear us, take it up. Thank you very much, Professor Chris Udry, Northwestern University, Illinois. It's quite clear Prof. Aryeetey is no local champion from all across the globe. We've had testimonies Nairobi to Cape Town to Washington to the Illinois area. We're going to take a short musical interlude, the Ghana Dance Ensemble, and then we have one final thing to do. We're going to have a short panel conversation with 4 people he's mentored, after which we would hear from the man himself. So, Ghana Dance Ensemble.
Oda.
Just when the Jama was getting interesting, they stopped. Can we settle down for the next part of the program? As a typical Gamman, I'm sure Prof likes Jama. He dance solo. I was at an event many years ago, and I think they were asking Prof what song he wanted. He said they should play Telemo. I don't even remember, this was an event, Professor Ashikote and some of those guys, NDK and co. And I was the MC, and I said, to what song should I play? I should play Telemo. And those of you who don't understand, Telemo is a classic. Oya mo kaklayo. Agbene afolobutu mo shitolo. If you want to know what a kaklayo is, ask, he will tell you later. And some of our geniuses are musicians. Some of the things they're able to say, wonderful guy, Gasmila. So if we do the 70th party, we'll bring Gasmila. Or 75th, we'll bring Gasmila to do Telemo for you. So what we want to do is to change the flavor a bit. We know we just give people the chance to speak, and it's not getting boring, but I feel like this section, let me invite the 4 people who are supposed to speak in turn to just sit down, and they'll say the same thing, but let's just change the flavor so that the video will not look boring. So I'd like to invite, in no particular order, Professor Joshua Abo, Professor Jepoma Jekedako, Professor Nkechi Owu, and Professor Amma Pokua Feni to just come and sit up here. Is there an extra mic? Or this is the only mic we have? All right, so let's get a couple of mics. So they're just going to say the same thing they plan to say, but they will sit down saying it so they can relax more. So you can tell from the presentations that mentorship has been a very key part of Prof's life. And these are different generations, because some of the people here were PhDs when I was an undergrad, and some were behind me whilst I was here. And some were in my class. So this is nice. So I think we'll just open the floor. Initially, everybody had 5 minutes, so we still have 20 minutes, but I'll make it 15 minutes, right? Any thoughts on personal, profound impact on who's going to go first? Maybe Professor Abo. I think you are the senior most, right? So, Prof. Abo, your thoughts?
All right, thank you very much, Bernard. Good evening, everyone. So, the first time I met Prof. Aryeetey was in 2003. I had been invited for an interview. I applied as a lecturer to join the business school. And that panel had Professor Yanka as the chair, and then the dean of the business school at the time, Professor Kofi Nti, and then Prof. Aryeetey, and then Professor Achuayi. And so if you have such a team interviewing you, and he actually asked the last question, and his question was, what is international finance? I didn't know him, but I saw this giant asking me to explain what international finance. I don't remember what I said, but I sailed through. Wow. And then when I joined the business school, my initial research focused on finance and SME development, informal finance, and as I cited him copiously, but I didn't know the person I didn't link that it was the same person who asked me that question. And then I met him again at ARC, working group, and he took interest in my work because initially I was going to do capital structure and financing of SMEs and SMEs. And in fact, that paper published by ARC is one of the seminal works when it comes to capital structure and financing. We're actually 3 from the business school. Myself, Professor Jassi, who is now a professor at Stellenbosch, and then Dr. Coleman, who is now the Director of Development Research at the Afrexim Bank. So Prof. Aryeetey made research fun. I mean, in fact, when we joined the university or the business school, if you're not doing research, you were not in town, as we say it. You didn't know what was going on. We really enjoyed doing research. I remember he told us, what kind of academic do you want to become? He said, it's not, you can become a professor, but are you a professor who is known globally? And he's actually demonstrated that. His Prof. Aryeetey didn't only encourage or advise us, but he demonstrated how to do research. He demonstrated how to mentor. Today, when I go, I go for board meeting or I'm training for a corporate, and they said, "You are too young to be a professor." I said, "They are students who are professors."
Wow.
So, Prof. Aryeetey, your grand mentees are professors.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
When I became dean, I took a lot of inspiration from what he had done in the university. People said, "Joshua, you are full of ideas." But I didn't know that I was tapping the grace of Prof. Aryeetey. Look, I introduced the Readers Project at the business school because he introduced the Readers Project in the University of Ghana. And one thing he said, which was very instructive, he said, it is a way, apart from contributing to policy, contributing to the literature, I think the Readers Project is a way of bringing academics together. He said you visit department and people are fighting over petty things. But this project can bring people together. And I saw that happen in the University of Ghana. And I saw that happen.
Thank you very much.
Put
your hands together for him. Next, I'll come to Professor Amma Pokuafeni. You want to use mine?
All right. So thank you very much. I think 5 minutes is too short to say the number of things I want to say, but I'll just make it as short as possible. So my journey to ISSER was by chance. At that time, my mom, in 2005, had seen an advertisement for principal research assistants in the Daily Graphic. And so she told me to, it's a good opportunity. Why don't you just apply? So I applied, and then I made it for the interview. And if you've ever interviewed at ISSER, it is not a joke. So you are sitting in front of a panel of men and women who are just firing questions at you. And at the end of the interview, Prof. Aryeetey asked me, "So young lady, in 3 or 4 years' time, where do you think you want to be?" And then I thought about it. I said, maybe I'll do a PhD. And then he goes, "Well, if you don't do a PhD in 3 years, we'll kick you out."
Wow. Wow.
And he really did kick us out. So by year 3, I had a letter saying, you have to find that PhD program or you will leave. By year 4, you were actually out of the door. And that was done to everyone. He didn't have any favorites. Everyone went through the same process. So we all had to leave. But it was a very good structure for us. It was, I think, one of the best moments in my life as a researcher. We were young, full of ideas, and I remember the first project we ever did was a project that he was given, and then he decided that Delachi Kata and myself should run the project. It was an ARC project on China-Africa relations, using Ghana as a case study. And 18 years ago, you wouldn't find information on Chinese investments in Ghana. So we went back to him and asked him, "Prof, we are not getting data. How are we going to finish this work?" And he just said, "Keep pushing, keep pushing." But eventually we did push. If you've ever gone to ARC Nairobi, the panel is even worse. You have all these old researchers who, I'm not sure what the plan was, but they will just criticize every single thing you wrote. And the rigor was amazing. But we went through it. The Lachikate and myself went to it. We went to Nairobi a number of times. And it wasn't just the review and the process, but it was the partnerships. And to date, we are still very good friends with a number of young researchers like ourselves who happen to be there. And the stories are many. I just want to point one out because it just shows you the kind of person Prof. Aryeetey is. So one day, I'm just sitting in the office and he calls me and says, you did write on your CV that you can speak French. At that point, I wasn't even sure what the whole thing was. And then he goes, I want you to go to Dakar and represent me at a meeting. And I'm thinking, be careful what you put on your CV. Wow. But eventually I made it to Dakar. I mean, this is 18 years ago. And the airport was so chaotic. And all I could hear was changer, changer, changer. And I'm just thinking in my head, how did I get here? But then eventually I made it to the meeting. And I got to the meeting and another surprise. Everyone was silent. I told them, I'm here to represent the director of ISSER. And first of all, I was the only woman. Oh, no. The youngest person. Oh, God. Everyone else had gray hair. And I wasn't sure exactly what to do. But we made it. We made it through the meeting. And it was a changing time for me because it just showed the kind of person Prof. Aryeetey was. And that he would give you the opportunities to face the most challenging times of your life. So I came out of that meeting knowing the importance of partnerships. And my journey in academia has been full of global partnerships because those seeds were sown right there in Dakar, trying to figure out how to make it in a meeting. So thank you, Prof.
Wow. 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 This is tough love. Okay, let me go to Nkechi before I end with the Japoma. So, Professor Nkechi Owu, what do you have to say?
Thank you very much, Bernard. I've prepared a written statement, if you will, so I'll just read that out to you. Yeah, so my career in economics began in 2006 with Professor Ernest Aryeetey. Now, I had just been posted to the ISSER Director's Office as a national service person. Now, my parents are both medical professionals, and frankly, they had no idea how an economics career unfolded. So my mother did what any good mother would do. She looked around, found a giant in the field, and she gave me simple instructions. Follow him and do exactly what you're told. Those were my starting instructions. But of course, that strategy only works when the giant is willing to accommodate you. But then to describe Professor Aryeetey's role as merely accommodating would be an understatement and frankly an injustice. He doesn't merely listen, he engages. He doesn't merely advise, he follows up to ask what happened next. He doesn't simply open the door, he encourages you to stay. As long as you want, take a seat. What are you drinking? So that's the type of person Professor Aryeetey is. He celebrates your successes when you are in the room, and perhaps even more meaningfully, he celebrates you in your absence. Prof, I know about your posts in your OAA year group WhatsApp platform whenever I attain a new milestone. So when someone like you takes such an interest, how can I achieve any less than I have? I was mentored by you. My research identity was formed under your example. Rigorous, policy relevant, and anchored in questions that matter for African economies. My institutional opportunities from UNU wider to AERC and beyond were accelerated by your endorsement and your sponsorship. My connections to influential African and global research partners were facilitated by your introductions and your good name. Now, my public scholarship was modeled by watching you communicate with clarity and care. And my leadership style has been shaped by observing how you lead, steady, fair, and forward-looking. But then there were also the quiet lessons, the uplifting messages sent at just the right time, the firm nudges to raise my ambitions, the insistence on standards, on doing the work thoroughly, presenting it clearly, and standing by it confidently. You taught me that a researcher's responsibility is not only to publish, but to be useful, to engage institutions, inform practice, and mentor the next generation. Looking back, I can trace a direct line from those starting instructions to where I stand today. Along those lines are papers and projects, classrooms and collaborations, speaking invitations, and service roles. But behind each line on a CV is a person who believed, who invested, and who showed up. And for me, that person has been you, Professor Aryeetey. It has mattered profoundly who stood in my corner. In times when the path felt rough, unsteady, or unpredictable, it made all the difference to know that you were there, steadying, encouraging, and reminding me that I can do this. So today I want to say thank you for mentorship that was active and generous, for sponsorship that multiplied opportunities, for example and integrity that sets the standard, and for the kind of leadership that reproduces itself in those who are watching. Prof. Aryeetey, I'm deeply grateful, so thank you and congratulations.
Wow. Wonderful. Yeah. That was almost poetic. Wonderful. Professor Ejepoma Jakedako, you have the final word for this panel. Let's hear you.
Good evening, everybody. I would like to continue with the Thanksgiving service. And so I would also begin by thanking you, Prof. Aryeetey, for being a triple blessing in my life. You've been a mentor who has guided me with a lot of wisdom. You've also been a father figure who has cared for me. And you've been a friend who has often shared jokes with me and commented on my questionable decisions sometimes. So I met Prof. Aryeetey about some 19 years ago during my first year of PhD. And I was getting ready for my progression assessment. And when I met my assessor, and he went through my topic and engaged me, I think he realized I didn't understand what I was doing. So he looked at me and asked if I knew Prof. Aryeetey. And then I looked back and said, yes, I've heard of him, just like how we would talk about legends. So I said, I've heard about him, but I haven't met him. And then he said to me, you need to see him, and it has to be soon. So immediately, I felt that there was something wrong. He felt I didn't understand what I was doing, and I needed somebody like Prof. Aryeetey to direct my course. So I came to Ghana and made it a point to see Prof. Aryeetey. And he opened his arms. I was surprised because with the kind of person I had heard he was, I thought it was going to take me about a year to get him to see me. But within a day, he had responded to my email, and then he had given me a very quick appointment. So I went to his office. He was then at ISSER, and then I sat with him. And he was very nice. So unlike what Prof. Cortez said, he was very gentle with me. Very, very gentle with me. And then he asked about my topic. I told him. And within 30 minutes, Prof. Aryeetey had dismantled my understanding. And he had given me, let's say, a new topic altogether, a new direction as well. And he had rebuilt it from a fresher and sharper perspective. So I walked out of his office very, very excited. And just because I felt I had met a brilliant man who had just solved all my problems for me. And so I decided that I wasn't going to let him go. I would add him to my pool of intellectual assets. And so every now and then I would email him. He was vice chancellor then. So a few years after my PhD, I joined the University of Ghana. And since then, Prof. Aryeetey has taken keen interest in my journey. I wouldn't say that I've consulted him on every decision that I've taken because I like to feel independent. But for the decisions I've consulted him on, he has shaped my thinking in ways that I didn't expect. For those decisions that I didn't consult him on, if ever he heard about them, he would call me. And then he would ask whether I really thought about that decision that I was taking. And if he didn't agree with me, he would say, well, I wouldn't do this. And immediately I would know that I have to start thinking about what I am doing. Prof. Aryeetey has given me many opportunities. He's given me platforms, OA platforms, and other platforms as well. And I must say that sometimes I was ready for them, other times I wasn't ready. But I wouldn't dare say I'm not ready. I would just go for those opportunities. And honestly, that has actually made me take chances. He's opened his home for me. Prof. Mrs. is here. We go there every time. I go with my family every time. We eat salads from Prof. Mrs. in the evenings. And Prof. has warned me not to come to his house in the evenings again because he'll be sleeping. So now I try to do afternoons. Now I'm just trying to say all of these to let you know what a true leader he is. A leader who just doesn't direct, a leader who listens, who challenges, who creates space for growth, and who occasionally raises eyebrows that say, you can do better. That's Prof. Aryeetey, mentor, father figure, friend, and the man who made me rewrite my topic in 30 minutes flat.
Wow. Wow.
Today, Bernard, 1 minute or 30 seconds. Today, as we celebrate your works, Prof, we are not just marking the passage of time. We are honoring a life of integrity, impact, and inspiration. Your legacy is etched not just in academic journals and institutions, but in the lives you have shaped, the minds you have sharpened, and the doors you have opened for others. Your legacy would outlive every candle on your cake.
Wow. Wow. This is really nice. We could go on all day, but time is of the essence. But Prof. Abo, because you are the only former dean on the panel, I'll give you 1 minute to close it for us. Your closing thoughts.
So, just a quick one on the lighter side of Prof. Aryeetey. Just as you are chatting with him and he's full of ideas. He's also full of stories. And you are with him and he's telling one story after the other. So this incident happened at ARC. It was during lunch. Charles Coleman and myself, we stepped out and then we met him. And then we greeted. You know the Nigerians, a professor will meet a professor and will take a bow.
Yes.
So we saw Prof. Aryeetey. So, Prof, good afternoon. And I said, I said, Prof, yeah, ciao. Said, who the Nigerians near? Thank you very much.
Wow. Yeah. Please rise. Thank you very much, Professor Abo, Professor Jakedako, Professor O, and Professor Amapoku Afeni. Let's put our hands together for them. Thank you very much. Who the Nigerians near? To think they even said it in Twi. All right, so the way we want to bring up the celebrant is to use the spoken word performance. So I'd like to bring up Abuna Koranchi, and she's going to do some appellation, after which Emeritus Prof would come and speak to us. So let's...
Sidania ye manyan kupon Adieni na sutun fueje Nidimu na ye enkan Onyame waweni a wodi ne nyansa abo ni padaseni Yeti asemano Ejo onyame obo ade yeti asemano na mwishimu Medi nkama mpanyimfo bi akwa babio Si apoida no fo Professor Nanaba Apia amfu Ema wakwaba Professor Roberts, Dakun Ose, Director Maise, Emma Aquaba, Mama Ankra Crabin so Aquaba, Eye Ise, University of Ghana, the Old Achimotan Association, Presec Alumni. Christ Church Ene Ara Edamasene momodembo Edamasene adwenempa Chimabekaimo. Yenina yenim adikudentia yeshimui bemen yonyamfo bintina ye wahane emrebia etwemu no oyesua point da no fo etra vice chancellor Professor Botei Doku Aryeetey ena ne kunu no Oba paye ma kwaba Bema mekane wansamui Eye Emeritus Professor Ernest Aryeetey Yama umo muniyo Yempenyimfo amayate asiese Nipa ya ade na so saye ya ye no nipa ya ade na so se kanfo a ye kanfo no ayeyo tisemijina ha mi de se prewa efrefre o se de nyakuto friends ya no patututu eja meme ya ho wa meye eja basatia adoye wom tasibi kodia ye wanuma jese de wamne na onyima na de ware sampono oyichema afufrobi sabe meni onyamfo na yaka ne wasemi ya mamo moni adwuma po nchima bekai wo if say why adwuma pa chima remfi wudo smijina ha le yasido Prof baby edrune die esese wo bekasa edoni bredru Prof manfo chen amanfo Prof eba bema ba kaso Orane kaso obinfo kasa kaso
She's literally taking the sound out of my mic. Yeah. So, Prof, osi ofrefre, tisena nyankunton frefre insu anopa. I don't understand that, but it sounds very powerful. So, let's put an example for Professor Aryeetey. Oh, come on. Put your hands together.
Thank you very much, Bernard. I'd been sitting there wondering what I was going to say. And then Joshua Abbo gave me an idea of what I could say. I remember that encounter with Joshua, Charles, and the third guy. You know, in Nairobi, we have become used to seeing all these young African economists looking for money. And we were always led by the Nigerians. And for Nigeria, hierarchy plays a very, very big role. You don't see a professor and say, oh, good evening. No. They will bow down, they will touch your knee. That's the way to show that he's my senior. You know, I can see you, good evening. So when Joshua and his friends did that to me, I said, hey, can't you see what the Nigerians are doing? And that's mentorship, isn't it? That's really mentorship. Showing Ghanaians how to show respect. Anyway, so I'm very happy about everything that has been said, done this evening on my behalf. I appreciate it enormously. As I listened to Nkechi, Jepoma, Amapokuya, Joshua, I was wondering whether it was something I did consciously. It happened. I mean, I was just doing my work. My work required that I should mentor young people, so I did it. I didn't expect any reward. I wasn't expecting an evening like this. It happened. But I enjoyed it. I've been in this university since 1986, and every single minute has been meaningful for me. The best part is meeting young people like Amapokuya, Nkechi. Nkechi's story was only half true. Her mother sent her to me, and her mother called me and said, "She's my daughter, look after her for me." Of course, I had no choice. Her mother was my classmate. So if my classmate says I should look after her daughter for her, can I say I wouldn't do it? But the good thing is Nkechi knew what she was about. It was easy to work with her. We quarreled when she was going to do her PhD. Nkechi, he left out that story. I was planning something big for her. And she too, she was very happy with what for her, a bed in hand is worth 20 in the bush. Anyway, I'm very proud of how all of them have turned out. Amapokuya is a professor. Nkechi is a professor. Ejepoma is a professor. Joshua has become a dean and even retired as dean. And Peter Kote is a former director of ISSER, now running LESIAD. You know, I'm proud when I see all these young people. Fred Janku, I remember Fred. Fred had come here from agric economics, and I was wondering what to do. Everything you said, he did. So no problem. We never fought. We never quarreled. Did we ever fight? We never fought. There were those that I used to fight with. Those that were too known, we used to fight. And so I'm happy. People like Cynthia, we fought quite a bit. Cynthia Adukwetego, where she came to me from Mamprobi, and assuming that because I came from Kolegono, we were going to hit it off. We had our ups and downs, but she survived. And he's doing very well. I'm very, very pleased. So I thank all of you. I thank you for the honor done me this evening. I thank you for the fact that ISSER and the University of Ghana gave me an opportunity to do the things I like doing. I said to former President Kikwete of Tanzania that if you don't invest in research, you will never achieve any of the things that you want to do. And he asked me why. And I said, because without research, nothing will work. And one of the things I'm proudest of is whenever I had the chance to talk to African leaders, and I would talk to them about the SDGs. We'll talk about the SDGs and the social development, development goals that we are setting ourselves. And I would say, look, you want to reduce maternal mortality by X%, you want to have all children in school, you want to transform your countries. All of these require innovation. All of these require new ways of thinking, new ways of doing the things you want to do. Those new ways can only come from research. Can only come from research. So if you delay in providing the resources for the research and supporting research, you are delaying your own development. Many African governments think that spending money on research is probably a waste of resources because some white man sitting in America or in the UK will do it for us. It is wrong. And the example I always give is malaria vaccine research. For many, 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 many years, people have been doing work on this at the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine, Oxford, Johns Hopkins, and so many places. You do it, they do it for a few years, they write papers, they get promoted, and then they leave. The Africans are suffering from the malaria, but no African government. I remember when I was Vice Chancellor, I said to the government of Ghana, the president, if you give me, by me I was referring to the University of Ghana, $5 million every year for 5 years, we will give you a very, very efficacious malaria vaccine. Of course, nobody believed it, and so the money didn't come. Today they ask me, so why is there no malaria vaccine from Ghana? I said, because you didn't give me the $5 million a year. You see, it's easy to do the research and also form partnerships. My research career has always been built on partnerships. I stand there very proudly. Everybody spoke about AERC, the African Economic Research Consortium, which I joined in 1988. I can say without any doubt in my mind that without AERC, I would never have been who I became. AERC opened doors for me. AERC introduced me to many African economists. Not too long ago, I met the governor of a central bank in Africa, and who didn't know me. And I said, yeah, because you didn't come to AERC. If you had come to AERC, you would have known me, and I would have known you. There are very, very few central bank governors in Africa that I don't know. If I don't know you, it means that you didn't pass through the right channels. So I'm very proud of what we have become. I'm proud of what we have done. I'm proud of the fact that we have been able to open doors for many more people. And it's my hope that people like Peter Corti, Roberto Osei, Felix Asante, and so on will keep opening doors for others. Anytime I look at Amma Kukia, I feel so much pride that Amma has become a professor. You know, who would have thought about it? Your mother doesn't even believe that you're a professor. Yeah. But you've become a professor, and not just by name, but I see your publications. I see your achievements. I know I didn't play any specific role in writing those things, but I'm proud of the fact that I can associate with you. So I can boast to my friends, she was my mentee. And that is all that gives me the pride today. I look at Ejapoma, you know, last 2 years ago, at Achimota School, the economics results were horrible. So I came to the economics department. I promised them at the board meeting that I'll find them some people to come and teach economics. So I went to see Ebu Texan, who is Japoma's husband, asking him if he could find for me some young MPhil students to go and teach economics. And he said, oh, he would try. So I left it there thinking that Ebo was still looking for somebody. Then last year I went to the board meeting, and economics had moved from being one of the poorest areas of performance to being the best. And the headmaster in this report said that, oh, thanks to Professor Aryeetey, who brought us some teachers. And I said, I didn't bring anybody, so... Then I found out that Ejapoma had gone behind my back and was teaching economics at Achimota School. Leading to a very, very significant improvement in the results of the school. Ejapoma, thank you very, very much. So, on that note, Bernard, you can do the same for Priscilla, can't you? Come and ask me, I'll find a teacher for you. I will send, who did the economics from Prisek? Peter, is there any economists from Prisek? We don't know anybody. Don't worry, we'll find somebody to go. So there'll be 1-1 draw. So, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you all for coming. I thank you for the honor done me. I appreciate everything that has been said about me. I know that was only through the grace of God that we were able to do what we have done. Thank you.
Let's rise. Please put your hands together. Wow. Wow. Yeah. Please be seated. Typical prof. Just when we're enjoying it, he just drops the mic. Amazing. This is such a great time. We'd like to respectfully bring up the VC. She started us off, and she's going to bring us some closing remarks. So let's receive one more time Professor Naba Apiamfo, the Vice Chancellor, with some closing remarks. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bernard. Distinguished guests, colleagues, and friends, what an enriching evening this has been. We have listened to insightful reflections, heartfelt tributes, and thoughtful provocations, all woven around the remarkable academic, institutional, and personal journey of our celebrant. Indeed, if this were a research paper, I'm sure that there will be demands for it to be placed in open access to allow a lot more access and for a lot more people to tap into this richness. The theme of this symposium, placing research at the center of higher education in Africa, while honoring Emeritus Professor Aryeetey's legacy, has reminded us of our collective duty to sustain and mentorship, to policy influence and global engagement. His example leaves no room for mediocrity. We have heard some considerable so forth. Let me use the opportunity of my chairship to get on a personal note at the institutional level. We only heard from economists, so let's also hear the linguist. And for this bit of it, and I'm going to do it quickly, I've just captioned it, his mentorship, my connection. Of course, I got to know Professor Aryeetey here at the University of Ghana. I don't remember my first encounter with him, but we had heard that he was one of the assessors on appointments board at the time, and these were very fearful and sometimes even wicked persons. But I recall that when he became Vice Chancellor, he invited me to be part of his vision implementation team. So, you know, he always has these big ideas, dreams, and he had to find people to implement that, and I was a member of that team. I remember that we had a lot of meetings and strategized as to how we were going to become a research-intensive university. And then the next thing was, I think this was about 2011, thereabout. There was crisis at our basic school. Bernard, where are you? Your school. And in the process of it, the then chair of the board resigned, and Professor Aryeetey invited me to go chair the board. I'm not sure what he had heard, what was the basis of it, but perhaps he also wasn't absolutely sure, so he made me acting for a few months, maybe about 15 or so months, and then I became the substantive chair of the board. And indeed, by the grace of God, we were able to turn things around in the school. Then there was a tolling of roads that we have all heard about this evening. And it was a big thing, and he put together a team of communicators beyond the usual public affairs. And I was a member of the team. I remember together with people like Dr. Agri Dakon and Professor Ransford Jampo, and we will meet, we will receive the facts, we will discuss our message, and then we will get distributed to various media outlets. So I remember going to Metro TV, Adom FM, and so on. Now that I think about it, Emeritus Prof, maybe we can form a party, a political party, mobilize party communicators, because that's exactly what we were doing, right? Yeah, and then I also recall the Readers Project. Again, that is something that we have heard about this evening. There was an original team of editors led by Emeritus Professor Dakubu, Professor Martin Colley, and Professor Ahmad Grafs Akins. And he later roped on people like myself, Professor Joshua Abo, and Professor Sampene Donko. And as usual, he gives you the task and you have to execute them. And he was the first person to put me on such committees. And, you know, he just starts from the top. And my very first search committee was the search committee that recommended the appointment of Professor Yautete as the provost of the College of Health Sciences. That was my first experience on such committees. And of course, since then, there have been many others. And when I was introduced, it was mentioned that I was a member of the administrative board of the International Association of Universities. Now, my first engagement with IAU was through Emeritus Professor Aryeetey. I think this was like 2012 or so. He was Vice Chancellor then. He had been invited to, I think it was a kind of symposium on doctoral education. Remember, he was leading the transformation of doctoral education here at the University of Ghana. So he was invited to speak at that symposium. I do recall also encountering Emeritus Professor Tego. It was in Paris, and he could not go. And so he sent myself and Professor Amma de Graft Akins to go and represent him at that meeting or symposium. And I do recall the current Secretary General of IAU. She wasn't Secretary General at that time, but she was playing some role in relation. I think he was the key organizer of that symposium. And I remember she meeting us, recognizing that we were there to represent Professor Aryeetey, you know, saying, hello, Ernest, hello, Aryeetey. And joked that Professor Aryeetey was so huge that in his absence, we needed two people to represent him. You know, our celebrant, this is how he does it. He throws you in there, sits back, and watches you. And you have to decide whether you will swim or you will sink. And of course, the choice is, or the decision is obvious. He doesn't interfere, he doesn't micromanage. He allows you to learn from both your successes and your failures. And I will give you an example, you know, just this evening. Remember I spoke about the KNUST thing, and then Professor Japon came here and essentially gave a rebuttal. And I told Emeritus Professor Aryeetey that, you know, when you go up there, you have to settle this matter once and for all. And you know what he told me? This is a fight between the two of you. So I am here to settle the fight once and for all. So Emeritus Prof, even on the eve of your 70th birthday, you remain fruitful and you provide an environment for discovery. At this event, we have identified two Reverend Professors, Reverend Professor Johnny Japon and Reverend Professor Peter Corti. I am sure that we have not heard or seen the last of your impact yet. So Emeritus Prof, as we celebrate you, and just so you know, even if you wanted to retire quietly, we, the academic community here at UG, of whom I have the privilege to lead, clearly have other plans. And on 24th May 2024, in Pretoria at the Arua board meeting. We had an event to honor him, as that was the last board. And I love to write, and I wrote a piece about that event. And so in closing, I want to read an excerpt from that write-up, which I entitled, Honoring Aryeetey Retires at the End of July, after continent of Africa and the world, through his stellar leadership of Arua. He will be fondly missed. Since his days as Vice-Chancellor of the University of Ghana, I have always thought that his ideas are as gigantic as his stature. He dreams big and pushes for them to come through. He recognizes difficulties but refuses to be Aryeetey walked when the applause was loudest, and the African research community will cherish him for the solid foundation he has laid to enable us to work collaboratively as African universities to considerably scale up our research output in our attempt to provide solutions for our continent's challenges, as well as that of the world. I'm glad to welcome him back to the University of Ghana as Emeritus Professor to continue with his capacity building efforts. With this in mind, I do not have the moral fortitude to wish him a happy retirement. End of quote. So Professor Elizabeth Asiedu was right. Make no mistake, he is not retiring. So let me take this moment to thank all of our speakers and panelists for their powerful interventions and for somehow managing to compress years of impactful work into just a few minutes each. That in itself is a rare scholarly skill. Thank you very much. To the organizing team here at ISSER and beyond, and all who supported the logistics, coordination, and behind-the-scenes magic, thank you very much. Your work ensured that today's event did not only inform our minds, but also stirred our hearts. And as we bring this program to a close and live from here, may we do so re-energized to place research where it truly belongs, at the center of our teaching, our policy making, and our public engagement. Let us continue to learn from his example and to mentor, to collaborate, and above all, to believe in the power of African scholarship to transform lives. Congratulations, Emeritus Professor Aryeetey. Happy birthday to you. Thank you all, and let's enjoy the rest of the evening.
Please, another round of applause for Madam VC. Thank you. I'll be your MC for the last few minutes of this program. Car number GE 252815. GE 252815. Please, your car is on fire. We'll soon take photos, and then we'll go out to have some light refreshments. The photos, we'll take them here. So please, after the vote of thanks, just wait a few seconds. We'll take some photos, and then we'll go out. At this point, I would like to call on Mrs. Vicentia Quote to give us the vote of thanks.
Thank you. Madam Vice Chancellor, Emeritus Professor and Mrs. Aryeetey, distinguished guests, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Institute of Statistical, Social and Economic Research and the local organizing committee, I warmly thank you all so much for joining us for today's special symposium in honor of Professor Ernest Aryeetey. Our sincere appreciation goes to Madam Vice Chancellor. Thank you for coming through, from going around protecting the university lands to rooting for where Eugene Day. We were all there at the city center. You still came through and stayed through. We are really grateful, Madam. Thank you. Our sincere appreciation goes to our speakers. Through your eyes and your thoughtful reflections, we get deeper insight into the legacy and work of the celebrants. So we thank you so much for your reflections tonight. Our MC has had to leave, but we are so grateful to Bernard for steering today's event with so much skill. We also extend our thanks to Stanbic Bank for their general support for this event. You can see their branding around. They've been very supportive. We want to thank the Director of ISSER, Professor Robert Osei-Darko, for his leadership and guidance throughout this process. To the local organizing committee, my colleagues, to ISSER faculty and staff, your dedication and hard work has made this evening possible. Thank you. And finally, to the celebrant, Emeritus Professor Ernest Aryeetey, we are so grateful to you for your example, for your impact, and for your legacy. Thank you. And now to everyone here, both online, in person, we know it's been a long day, and yet you stay through with so much grace. We thank you all. We are grateful.
Manuals to team up with you, and Bessentia and Mawina to do this. I appreciate that very, very much. I never had the chance to teach you. The first time we met was at an interview panel, and since then we have gelled. So the two Emmanuels, I hired them at being forced. I was looking, and so I was going to hire Emmanuel Edudanso, and the principal told me that I can't hire one and leave the other. I said, what kind of world is that? He said, no, because they do everything together. So are they married? Yes, they are both. So that made me relax. But since then, I worked with them both for about 5 or so years, and they have been extremely helpful supporting my work. So, Emmanuel Edudanso, Emmanuel Abbey, it will be extremely poor on my part to walk out of here without saying thank you to the two of you. Thank you very much.
Please, we would have some photographs. Madam VC, please, Please, we would have some photographs. Madam VC, please, you, and yes, we'll have it right here.
You. And even when the road gets... It could be about something dear to your heart. It could be about something dear to your heart. Such results leave a sweet work till late, yet rise with the sun. There is something that drives you. The very thought of it fuels you. And even when the road gets rocky, you keep going. That's why you work till late, yet rise with the sun. Yes, your drive knows no limit. There is something that drives you. The very thought of it. Something that drives you. The very thought of it fuels you. You keep going, just to get the results that matter. It could be about you. It could be the lives you touch. It could be about something dear to your heart. Such results, that's why you work till late, yet rise with the sun. Yes. Your drive yet rise with the sun. Yes, your drive knows no limit. is something that drives you. The very thought of it fuels you. And even when the road gets rocky, you keep going. Just to your heart. You work till late to your heart. You work till late, yet rise. Do it with Stanbic Bank, where we spur you on to get the results that matter. There is something that drives you. The very thought of it fuels you. And even when the road gets rocky, you keep going. Just to get the results that matter. Be about you. It could be the lives you touch. Results leave a sweet lingering smile, a sense of fulfillment. That's why you work till late, yet rise with the sun. Yes, your drive knows no limit. Do it with Stanbic Bank, where we spur you on to get the results that matter. There is something that drives you. The very thought of it fuels you. And even when the road gets rocky, you keep going. Just to get the results that matter. It could be about something dear to your heart. It's with the sun. Yes, your drive knows no limit. Do it with Stanbic Bank, where we spur you on to get the results that matter. There is something that drives you. And even when the road gets rocky, you keep going. Just to get the results that matter. It could be about you. It could be the lives you touch. It could be about something dear to your heart. Such results leave a sweet lingering smile, a sense of fulfillment. That's why you work till late, yet rise with the sun. Yes, your drive knows no limit. Do it with Stanbic Bank, where we spur you on to get the results that matter.